Imagine yourself sitting in front of a monitor in a dark room, with only the screen's glow illuminating your face. On the display, lines of code, numbers that may seem like chaos to some, but serve as doors for you. Doors to the most dangerous weapon in the world, your target, the nuclear control system. You know it's old. Many of its parts still run on outdated floppy disks that no one has used in years. This is your advantage. What seems secure is, in reality, long vulnerable. You enter the first commands, creating a false signal, making it appear as if it's a request from an official military server. The system doesn't suspect deception. You've passed the first level of security. The next step is harder. You need to find access to the command center. You search for loopholes in the code, alternative routes. You try to penetrate the system, replacing digital access keys. Suddenly, a message appears on the screen. Unauthorized connection. Intrusion detected. Damn. They know you're here. Hackers attempting to breach such systems don't get a second chance. Have you ever wondered if some fanatical hacker could gain access to a nuclear bomb and destroy half the world? First, let's break down how the launch procedure works in the countries with the largest nuclear arsenals. Imagine a scenario. The radar detects a possible attack. Time is counted in seconds, and the country's president is the only person who can make a decision that will determine the fate of the world. In the US, it all starts with a warning from intelligence or early detection systems. If there is suspicion of a nuclear strike, the president is immediately notified, no matter where he is. His advisors, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, provide information on the threat and possible response options. But the final decision rests solely with the head of state. The president retrieves a special card known as the biscuit, which contains identification codes. Using the nuclear briefcase, football, he sends the order to the National Military Command Center, NMCC, which transmits a verified signal through a special communication system. Then, launch operators in missile silos, submarines, or bombers enter the confirmation code, and within minutes, the missiles can be in the air. In Russia, the procedure is similar, but with its own nuance. If the early warning system detects a threat, the president receives a signal through the Cheget nuclear briefcase, which is connected to the Kazbek command system. He consults with the military, but, again, the final word is his. If the decision is made, the signal goes to the general staff and from there to the strategic missile forces. Russian nuclear forces have an additional level of protection, the perimeter system, or dead hand. If the command center is destroyed and there is no response from the higher leadership, automation will send the launch command itself, guaranteeing a retaliatory strike. In both cases, everything can happen within minutes. A decision that changes the world is made under extreme pressure, where there is no room for error. And when nuclear weapons are in the hands of Trump and Putin, it becomes a bit frightening. But let's get back to hackers. Can they cause harm by infiltrating a nuclear system? The answer: 50-50. Hacker can't just press a button and launch Armageddon, as such systems have complex security mechanisms, including physical keys, two-factor authentication, and isolated networks. However, they can perform a series of actions that could seriously affect nuclear infrastructure. For example, a hacker could breach early warning systems, causing a country to believe that a nuclear missile is heading toward it. This could lead to panic or even a false retaliatory strike. If, say, Russia or the US receives a false signal of an attack, they might accidentally launch their missiles. Additionally, a hacker could infiltrate communication systems through which commands are transmitted. They could forge orders to confuse military personnel or block legitimate commands. Another potential attack involves influencing the energy systems of nuclear facilities. If a hacker disables the power or cooling system at a nuclear site, it could result in an accident similar to Chernobyl or Fukushima. Similarly, the stuxnet virus, which disabled Iranian uranium enrichment centrifuges, could be used to sabotage critical nuclear installations. Another method is leaking classified information. If a hacker gains access to documents containing details about the location of nuclear weapons or military plans, they could pass this information to the enemy or release it publicly. For example, in 2019, NATO's poorly secured servers allowed information about US nuclear weapon bases in Europe to be leaked online. A hacker might also target missile launch systems. They could infect the computers used to control missiles, rendering them incapable of launching during a critical moment. This means that if a country is under attack, its missiles might fail to launch due to the infected systems. Moreover, hackers can manipulate public opinion by using fake data, hacked documents, or false media messages. This could create an illusion of a nuclear threat, leading to chaos or even provoking war. Mass disinformation about an attack could cause a country to act prematurely. These are the exact cases we will discuss today. How hackers sabotaged the Iranian nuclear program and created cyber weapons that nearly triggered World War III. In 2010, something happened that made the world rethink modern threats. Not a conventional nuclear attack, but a cyber one. The virus stuxnet, likely created by the US and its allies, infiltrated one of the most advanced nuclear programs in the world, Iran's uranium enrichment program. But instead of causing an explosion or physical attack, this virus became a literally invisible killer for nuclear facilities. What happened? Stuxnet was so meticulously designed that it didn't just break computers. It was a precise sabotage, directing attacks on the physical components of nuclear facilities. The virus was specifically developed to target centrifuges used for uranium enrichment, causing them to malfunction at critical moments. They spun at too high a speed, gradually wearing themselves out, leading to their physical destruction while deceiving operators, as they didn't notice the anomalies in the system's operation. Stuxnet became an extremely accurate and effective tool. It changed the equipment's operation without triggering any obvious signs of failure or breakdowns. The operators of Iran's nuclear sites monitored the readings, but couldn't understand what was happening, until the centrifuges quietly began to break down. According to various estimates, over 1,000 such centrifuges were disabled, which seriously slowed down Iran's nuclear program. How was this possible? But here's what is even more shocking. The virus was so sophisticated that it didn't just penetrate the control systems. It even infected the most isolated computers, which had no internet access. It spread through USB drives, allowing the virus to move through networks without leaving traces in the usual security systems. Additionally, Stuxnet exploited a number of vulnerabilities in Siemens software, which was used at Iranian facilities, allowing the virus to infiltrate the heart of the control system. International consequences and the threat of escalation. Stuxnet was undoubtedly not just a hacker attack, but also an act of state-sponsored sabotage. It is believed that this virus was the result of a joint effort by the US and its allies, such as Israel. However, it was this attack that raised the question of a new war in the era of cybersecurity. Nuclear facilities became targets not only for physical attacks, but also for digital intrusions, which threatened global security. Had the attack on Iran not been stopped, it could have had catastrophic consequences for international politics. If Iran had discovered the virus after destroying several of its key installations, it could have led to the mobilization of forces and even to an open war. If hackers had been able to continue attacking the nuclear programs of major countries, it could have created a new era of cyber warfare, where conflicts might begin with a few lines of code rather than nuclear missiles. Technologies of the future, or a threat to the world? Stuxnet demonstrated to the world that cyber weapons can now be as dangerous an instrument as conventional nuclear weapons. Programs capable of breaking critical infrastructures can not only cause harm, but can also destroy an entire country, leaving no trace behind. And this is just the beginning. Cyber attacks have become part of the new reality of international relations, where countries must think not only about physical barriers and missiles, but also about how to protect their most valuable secrets from cybercriminals, who can erase them in a second. Next in the chronology comes an even stranger story of a hacker attack on nuclear weapons. When NATO's secrets were at your fingertips, how hackers stole the plans of US nuclear bases in Europe and brought the world to the brink of war. In 2019, a shocking cyber attack occurred that could have threatened all US nuclear installations in Europe and changed the course of history. Hackers, who remained unidentified, managed to break into NATO's servers and gain access to classified military documents containing critical information about the locations of US nuclear weapons at European bases. How was this possible? It turns out that the classified documents were stored on poorly secured NATO servers, where they became accessible to hackers through vulnerabilities in the information storage systems. This allowed cybercriminals to leak the worst secrets without any risk to themselves. The hackers were able to access not only the locations of nuclear weapons, but also vital defense plans and strategies. Why is this so dangerous? This isn't just a data leak, it's a potential global catastrophe. If these documents had fallen into the hands of hostile states or terrorist organizations, they could have obtained precise information about nuclear bases, their security systems, and personnel locations. This means that any country or organization could have planned attacks on these facilities, leading to massive consequences for global security. What could have happened? Perhaps these documents could have become the basis for targeted attacks on the most important US military sites. There is nothing easier for an enemy than knowing the exact location of nuclear weapons, as it allows for planning not only military operations, but also large-scale terrorist attacks. What if these documents had fallen into the wrong hands? This leak raised new security standards for the global community, as now all countries must carefully check their cybersecurity and control how and where the most vital data is stored. However, this doesn't change the fact that all the information about the locations of nuclear weapons could have simply been stolen with just a few hacker lines of code. A lesson for everyone? As it turned out, no. This happened relatively recently. Chinese hackers breached US nuclear secrets, how the Typhoon group threatened the security of America's nuclear infrastructure. In 2023, the world was shocked by reports of a cyber attack carried out by the Chinese hacker group Typhoon. These highly skilled cyber criminals infiltrated critical systems of US military facilities, including nuclear infrastructure, which posed a threat to global security. What happened? Typhoon, linked to the Chinese government, hacked US military bases, gaining access to several confidential and critical systems that ensure the functioning of nuclear infrastructure. The hackers were able to monitor activity at these facilities, as well as influence certain processes within the infrastructure. This means that China potentially obtained crucial information about the status and capabilities of US nuclear forces. Why is this so dangerous? Such access to nuclear infrastructure is a serious threat to US national security and global stability. Hackers, with the ability to control or manipulate critical systems, could provide China with a significant advantage in the event of a global crisis or military conflict. In the worst-case scenario, such access could allow criminals not only to steal secrets, but also to prepare for attacks or sabotage, seriously weakening US defense capabilities. What does this mean for the future? The Typhoon attack demonstrates how crucial cybersecurity has become in the modern world. Hackers from any country can gain access to strategic data and resources, and even the most powerful nations must actively strengthen their digital defenses. China could gain a substantial advantage by using this information for strategic purposes at any moment, whether during military conflict or periods of global political tension. This is a serious warning for all countries. Modern wars may be won not only on battlefields but also in cyberspace. In a world where technology is advancing at an incredible pace, cyber threats are becoming increasingly real and dangerous for global security. Hackers capable of infiltrating systems that control nuclear infrastructure have the potential to significantly alter the balance of power on the planet. While traditionally it is difficult to launch nuclear weapons without physical access to specialized systems, cybercriminals can create just as many threats by stealing or manipulating data, undermining critical processes, or even triggering false reports of nuclear attacks. Data leaks, system sabotage, communication manipulation, or orchestrating chaos. All of these actions could lead to catastrophic consequences, including global crises or even attempts of nuclear strikes based on false data. In the world of nuclear weapons, where every decision can lead to catastrophic outcomes, the ability of hackers to manipulate or even paralyze these systems carries enormous risks. This highlights the need to strengthen cybersecurity, enhance the protection of critical infrastructures, and promote international cooperation to prevent such threats. In the future, where cyber attacks are becoming just as important as physical attacks, countries must pay significantly more attention to their defense in the digital space to ensure protection against potential global disasters.